Right now, I'm with.
Kazeem, Kuteyi.
We're in London, England, in Soho right now.
Soho.
How are you right now? How you feeling?
Man, I feel good. I'm kind of tired from yesterday's party
Mm.
that we did at the Globe um, in West London. But I'm a morning person, so like no matter what time I sleep at night, like I just get up like super early. So like it's kind of a gift and a curse at the same time. But we move.
New currency party last night was crazy. You and Tommy Gold went back to back for a couple hours.
Yeah, so me and my guy Tommy was on the decks. In the beginning, it was KO and Johannes. But yeah, me and Tommy, we've been friends since like, damn, I can't remember. Like maybe when did I meet Tommy? Was it 2018? I think. But yeah, like me and Tommy connected obviously through New Currency first, and then He's played a couple parties that I've done, and like we're always just trying to link up. But we're also busy, so I was just like, yo, like I've not seen you in a minute. I have the Globe. We should pull up, and like we should go back to back. So it's just kind of like just a way to like link up with friends. So, and we're both passionate about music. So yeah, it was dope. It was fire.
Super fire. For like the people who don't know, where you from?
I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Where are you staying now?
Jeez, I don't know if I have a permanent address, to be honest. Like right now, I'm kind of like floating around Europe, back in Canada sometimes. But yeah, I think right now I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm kind of based like wherever like the vibe is right now. And right now, like the vibe is in London for me personally, and like I think uh, in terms of like what's inspiring me and kind of like the energy that I'm kind of like drawn towards, I think it's London right now. So yeah, I've been here for the past like, I was here for 8 months, in and out, just like going to Paris, Amsterdam, whatever. I was in Lagos for a minute too,
Yeah.
and yeah, just kind of like based wherever the vibe is, and the vibe for me right now is
London.
it's London. Yeah. So, but yeah, I love Toronto. It's my home. Obviously, like I still do a lot of things out there. We're doing trading floor out there. My apartment is still there. So yeah, but I think I'm gonna be out here in London most of the time right now. Yeah.
Home base for just now.
Hmm?
A base for just now.
Yeah. I think my base is gonna be London, very very soon. Yeah.
There's a lot of topics I want to cover, but I just want to start off with like talking about new currency a little bit. For I guess I want to go into new currency as if like I just met you and I
Right.
don't know what new currency is.
Right.
So if I came up to you and we first met and I asked you like what new currency is, how would you explain it to me?
Jeez. I think it's so funny because I think like the way I kind of like I guess talk about new currency could change from time to time, but it's still kind of like the same thing. But really, new currency is I would say it's a global platform um, that aims to serve as a catalyst for young people to kind of like see the world in a different way, and also kind of like a way for I think my thing is like we all have these different creative practices and like different, and then the world is changing by the minute. So I guess like our whole thing is how do we document sort of like these emerging ideas that are happening globally, and then make sort of like suggestions and kind of like present some suggestions and proposals through these amazing individuals that like we get to meet through traveling or whatever,
Yeah.
and sort of like have people like engage with that and be inspired and be like, oh, I never thought of something like that. I never thought of so that's kind of like the core kind of like basis of it. But our whole thing is really community as well. It's like how do we sort of also galvanize like a community around like a certain thing, and the whole thing is really creativity, and it's like kind of like it manifests in multiple ways. Whether it's a club night like you were at last night, or the magazine that we do, or curated dinner, or like an evening with performance and dance and poetry. But I think the core is kind of like bringing different people together, and hoping that like by bringing the people together, there's some sort of kind of like connections that we could sort of start to facilitate, and hoping that those facilitated connections that we make organically by curating these like moments, whether it's a magazine or a club night or a panel talk event or exhibition, leads to like people linking up together to, you know, do projects and you know, add, and then hopefully those projects like add a different type of beautiful stroke to like this world that we're in, you know?
Give the people a different perspective.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, right? I think like we all have different ideas and different things, and we have different perspectives. But I think where New Currency comes in is like we bring all these perspectives together, and I think there is. My friend says there's unity in like in our differences. So uniting all these differences in the same room, or in a magazine or an exhibition, and people seeing that, and it's like, oh, okay, like now it's time to make something really dope that could, you know, change the world or something. So
New Currency covers like a lot of aspects of the culture.
Yeah.
And like one part of New Currency is like the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to like tap on issue number 1.
Yeah.
You're now like past issue number 1, but for the people who are just getting into New Currency, how would you explain issue number 1? What is the theme you were going for? What did it like capture at the moment you released it?
Yeah, I think at the moment that, I mean, during when I was working on issue 1, obviously it was during lockdown. So I think it was more of a response to all the conversations that like we were having through lockdown, whether it's kind of like, you know, the current is, because I think lockdown and COVID kind of like really revealed the world, like kind of like the iniquities of the world that exists, if that's the right word, you know, like whether it's the institutions that exist, you know, kind of like the old guard that exists. It's like, do we really need them? Do we really need institutions? You know, like what is a new way of working? Obviously, since we're all on Zoom, you know, and kind of like what are people kind of thinking in terms of like the future? Because I think like the way the future has sort of flipped on its head, because obviously like there was a dent, which was COVID.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, you know, so I think with the new issue, what I was trying to make was a proposal of a new institution, which I think is New Currency, which I think is Spencer Badu, which I think is Miles Freedom, which I think is you, which I think is like Sammy, like Sample Chief, or like all these kind of like different pockets that exist that are trying to like bring people together. It's like, do we really need to be at the AGO?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it right now. Do we really need to be there? You know what I'm saying? Because they need us. So it's like, so that's what like New Currency issue 1 was about, was kind of just like these conversations about, you know, how do we sort of like move forward and how do we produce new work, you know? So that's what issue 1 was about. But also it was kind of like, what I was very interested in for the issue was kind of like providing a platform for like people to showcase their work, you know, and kind of just like, oh, like, that's sick, and hopefully like people who go through it is like, oh, I want to work with this person, or this inspires me in a certain way, you know. But yeah, that's what issue 1 was about, and now I'm working on issue 2, which is going to be a completely different type of like roller coaster on its own.
I want to tap in that in a sec, but I also want to ask you, how was your process through making a magazine during the lockdown?
Yeah, it's like,
also not only the lockdown, but how was your process of making your first true publication?
yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I think what was interesting about like the making issue 1 is that I kind of had to go through this kind of like thing of where now I need to kind of consolidate like all these connections that I've made over time and put them in print, right? I think all these connections were kind of made through like Instagram, DM, email, or WhatsApp, or meeting in the club or whatever. And it's like, okay, now I need to kind of figure out how do I formalize all of this, because I think like the magazine was a little bit of a formality of bringing people together.
Yeah.
All these connections and community that like I'm a part of is bringing us together in the magazine. So I think it was kind of like thinking through that, but also kind of like thinking through like who is strong at what and what conversations fit in what, and the kind of like how do I sort of like make certain connections in terms of like, okay, I think Bambi needs to connect with Octavia, Burgell, in Berlin and they need to have a conversation because I know that would be a vibe, you know, or bringing like, or me having a conversation with Stephen Tayo in Lagos. But the reason why I wanted to have that conversation is because I've met him in passing through like in Lagos like in December. So I was like, oh, like this guy's a like amazing photographer. Like I need to like have a conversation with him, you know. So it's kind of like, and then also kind of like I was very interested in like cultural exchange. So obviously bringing people who might not be in the same cities, you know, together. So I think that was
introducing a lot of people to different cultures.
Yeah. It's like I really wanted to like make it like super global, which is kind of like the intent of New Currency. Like I think it's like somebody was telling me it really reflects kind of like Instagram in a way, where it's like we're all on Instagram, we're all sort of following each other and we're seeing different things from around the world. So how does that live in print? You know? So that's what I was thinking about.
And then moving on to like issue number 2, what do you, if you want to talk about it, what are you trying to capture there? After, I guess, would issue number 2 be like your take on after the lockdown?
Yeah, it's a bit, because I think again, like New Currency is always responding to like the current zeitgeist and kind of like what people are talking about, you know. And what I realized was that I kept on hearing, when I would talk to people, they'd be like, well, the world is open now. The world is open now, so we can do this. The world is open now, we can do this. The world is open now, we can do this. But I realized it's like, they're not necessarily looking, when people are thinking about the world is open, yes, we can travel and we can like, you know, cross borders again and stuff. I think, when I think deeply about it, I'm thinking the future is open. Yeah. So when I was talking to my friend Balade, who is one of the contributing editors of like New Currency, he was just like, bro, like I think we should actually like name this The Future is Open, not necessarily, because it was supposed to be called The World is Open. But when me and Balade were having dialogue about it, he was just like, oh, I think it's about the future. The future is open. It's like there's much more possibilities. It's not necessarily defined. This is kind of like an era where we can actually define it. So a lot of kind of like conversations in the magazine currently is about the future of like this, like what is creative direction, what is design, what is you know, what does it mean to be what is radical in architecture, like things like that, you know. It's kind of like things that we're exploring, but then also still providing a platform for people to showcase their work. So there's always going to be that, you know. We did my friend went on a journey in Senegal and did these photos. There's something that my friend did something in we shot somebody in a bowling alley talking about rest and creativity. So like, yeah, it's gonna be a moment. I think issue 2 is gonna be a moment, and what I'm really excited about this issue is that now that the world is open, we get to kind of like I get to gather people and, you know, around the magazine. So there's going to be like multiple activations in different cities for this new issue.
Really like taking the magazine besides the Instagram posts or like buying it online. Now like, people can come outside and experience the events and like really trying to, it's hard to paint a picture of what you're really trying to get across through a screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Like, and that's why I think even for the first month, I don't even think we're going to launch it online. I think you'd have to come to the event to get the issue, because I want you to understand the context, because the magazine is just a product of conversation. Yeah. You know, I think bringing people together and knowing like, okay, like, oh, you fuck with New Currency too, like them, we're part of the same tribe. I want to bring all these tribes together. Yeah. And like, you know, so I think like the events is very, very important to me. So yeah, I think for the first month, it's gonna just, the only way you can access the issues by coming out to the event.
Super special. It'll be special for the people who have it in the first month then.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then alongside New Currency, through your process of working on the magazine, working on the brand, or the New Currency in general, I want to talk about your inspirations and the people who you pull inspirations from. So, for example, I know you're you pull a lot of inspiration in your personal life and like New Currency through Virgil, someone like that. Where do you seek for inspiration?
That's a really good question, man. I think like we were all hanging out at Reference Point yesterday. Like me, you, Danny, Jack, that conversation alone has completely flips like kind of like what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's alone is like, and it's that's like mood boarding in real life. You know, I don't necessarily mood board, you know, so I think that alone is like a form of mood boarding. It's just like hanging out with y'all, like, you know. So I think definitely like my friends and kind of like people I get to hang out with, that I have a privilege of hanging out with. In terms of like celebrities, I think, I mean, not necessarily, I mean, I'm not into celebrities, like there's some anyways, but I just thought of something, sorry. But yeah, I think Kanye is definitely like a huge like inspiration from time. Like I remember I used to like look on Kanye's blog for like everything. Like he used to be very generous in sort of like sharing his like design inspirations. And obviously kind of a descendant of like Kanye is Virgil. But I think Virgil was very much more explicit in terms of like sharing his process and kind of like being very multidisciplinary. And I think kind of like the multidisciplinariness of nature of like Virgil has sort of like, you know, been a validating point where it's just like, yo, it's okay to be multidisciplinary and kind of like pursue your curiosities in multiple mediums. And I think that's what I'm doing, is like pursuing my curiosity in multiple mediums, whether it be photography. I'm working on my first photography book right now, you know, that's might come out later this year or like next year. I DJ, you know, I make mixes. I'm currently interested in furniture design. You know, I'm gonna be doing an internship next year, possibly in Nigeria, you know, working on furniture and design, and product design. So it's just like, why not? You know, and so I think obviously Virgil is like an inspiration. Spencer Badu, obviously, like huge inspiration of mine. He's one of my best friends. Manny Dark, my friend Taban, inspiration. It's just like all my friends, you know, like, and then I think a big thing is like music. Like I think music is a huge factor. Like I can't do without music. And then architecture, but architecture for more of a conceptual kind of like thing where it's just like I want to understand like why the building was built this way, but understand kind of like why they did it. Like, you know, I think about like my grand. And let me know if I'm ranting, but like I think about my grandfather's house in Nigeria, and I think about the architecture of that and how like his first wife's house quarters is this way, second wife's, and then the kids are upstairs, and like how does that affect their interpersonal relationships and stuff like that. So I think about that. So when I think about like even space making and stuff like that, like I really try to like think about how like me organizing a space can impact like community and stuff like that. So I think like that and books and magazines is very, very like important to me.
Something as simple as like putting the DJ booth higher than the audience could disconnect
100%
the whole crowd.
That's why like I remember one time we did a party at the Drake Underground, and I was like, we need the DJ booth on the floor, like connecting, you know, to so like, so I have a DJ set there soon. I don't know how can I navigate that, but like, yeah, you know, and that's why like, and like sound systems, you know, make sure the sound system is a vibe, because like if the sound system is weak, people are not gonna really like, but when it hits your chest, be like, okay, it's different, you know. So I think everything that inspires me is very like nuanced.
But it's like collectively together that builds it up.
Yes, exactly.
I think what you touched on at the first part, every time we meet, it's like, for example, like the first time we met, we talked about issue 2, and then we met again in London. And I was like, how has it changed? And then you told me how it changed, and we met the day after, and you're like, okay, this is how it changed, what do you think? And then you took it in, and now it's different the next day.
Yeah.
And you express like your thoughts to everyone, friends, people you meet, and then you take it in, and then it changes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like I kind of like really sponge off people in a very interesting way, right? Not from like a very like, I hope it's not like a very like leechy way, but I think like, and that's why I try to give as much as I can if anybody sees value in what I'm offering. You know what I'm saying? I try to like give, because I know I'm taking as well. So it's just like, if I'm having a conversation with you and I'm like, oh shit, I'm like, oh shit, then I remix it in my own certain way, and that's the output. And as I'm working on a project, it does change like until it's released. But obviously, I think to kind of keep me accountable, I put a deadline on everything, you know. But I'm always iterating on what I'm doing, you know, and you're always trying to improve.
To, I guess, end off the topic of new currency, I wanted to ask you your advice for someone trying to make a magazine.
Okay, yeah. That's a really good question, man. I think to make a magazine, I think you need to be curious about something. You know, I think you need to be curious about a specific thing. Like, you can make a magazine on dogs, and you can make it look like a vibe. Imagine I'm already thinking about what a magazine about dogs would look like from my vantage point, because anybody can make. Because the thing is, if you want to make a magazine about dogs, but you're interested in fashion and music, and you're interested in all these things, then imagine all of that intersecting, but it's actually about dogs. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's finding one angle, but then also kind of finding the different perspectives and different tastes that you're interested in, having it come together. Because I think when you think about magazine, it's about it's a container of ideas, you know. I'm very much interested in youth culture and ideas and music and all these things. So I figure out how all that can intersect into one, and then it comes in a magazine. So I think, and then also I think use what you have. You know, I think that's a big thing, is use what you have, and don't think about kind of disconnect from what the idea of a magazine should look like. Obviously with new currency, we don't have access to the craziest of resources, so it's a lot of stuff is shot on iPhone. Yes. So that's what we have, or a film camera, or I'm not hiring Jürgen Teller to shoot editorial because ID is gonna do that. Even
a screenshot of a tweet.
Yeah,
anything.
Yeah, exactly. A screenshot of a tweet is gonna be in the new issue, because that's how I feel I want to express it. You know, so I think that's very important, and just being authentic. And part of that authenticity is being true to using what you have, and kind of using whatever resources you have. And if that means your magazine is gonna be 10 pages, so be it. You know? So I don't know if that would help anybody. Hopefully it does, but that's kind of because I'm just thinking about how I was being able to make issue 1, and it's kind of being based on what I have. I can't afford big photographers, and that's not even what I want. That's not even authentic to me making a magazine. I think it's about the community that I'm a part of, and this is a product of the community so that's why people see themselves in it, because it's really kind of on the ground, you know.
All right, I wanted to talk about your time in Toronto. Or I know you're still going back and forth to Toronto, but more so when you were living there, really every day outside. Where'd be your go-to hangout spots?
Oh damn! Jeez, I guess I have to think. Go-to hangout. Honestly, my go-to hangout spot is Spencer Studio. I always hang out there.
Any places you work out of specifically?
Yeah. Soho. I'd be working out there. That's pre-pandemic though.
I'd say if I was visiting Toronto, where would be your number one place to check out, your number one food spot, and then a night out?
Soup magazine store. Food spot, 7 Lives for tacos at Kensington.
Yeah. Classic.
Yeah, definitely. It goes hard. And there's this Tibetan spot in Parkdale that's super dope. I can't remember the name. I just enter it. It's a vibe. Definitely want to go to Karuza party every first Friday of the month if you're there. Just go there early. I was going to tell people.
Karuza, Isms,
any party that's done by my friends, which is Living Room, Karuza, Ism. Am I missing anybody?
Living Room?
Living Room, that's Tio. Yeah, I said Living Room. Sample Chief. Any of my crew that's
Moonshine.
party. Moonshine's in Montreal.
They come here sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, they're rare pop up. But yeah, mucha. I think any of that Bambi obviously. But I think any of people who are sort of like pushing like DJ sets from out of the realm of like bottle service shit. Then it's like that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you also DJ as a form of expression. I want to touch on that a little bit. When did you? I guess you've always liked music, but when did you start like, okay, I want to like start spinning this?
Yeah, I think it kind of. Yeah, I always loved DJing, but I mean, I think it kind of started out of necessity. Like when we started like new currency parties, like I couldn't afford to book an opener, so I would just open, and I'd be playing tunes off like virtual DJ, yeah, the software.
Yeah.
But I think like for me, I kind of just like I felt like it would be a space for me to really express myself, and I was like, oh shit, I like bringing like different songs together, and I feel like for me it was a form of like expression, but also showing my taste, and then also kind of like more of like almost like a research report on like my different like me traveling.
Yeah.
Because I would travel to like Paris, London, and I'll go to all these things and like be on here NTS, blah blah. So it's kind of like almost like a hey, by the way, I traveled through the internet. I traveled like to these different cities. This is kind of like a report on the travel, and that's the DJ set. You know.
What? Let's say, for someone who's never been to see you spin, what genre do you spin? Or some of the genres you spin?
I would say like it's usually dance. Honestly, I call it in my head. It's like black dance music. You know, like I'll play like I'm a piano. I'm always like I love playing at a 120 BPM.
Okay.
So it's like I'm a piano, garage, like UK jazz, grime, drill. Yeah, it's just kind of like a mix of everything that has sort of like for me it's like very poetic, like very like I find Keisha and Becky, that record, very poetic because the way the beginning starts, like it's just like it's very mad. Or then you hear like Manhood by Victor Duplay, like when I mix that into like a Black Coffee song, it's just like this is poetry, you know. So it has to sound poetic. Just same like Say My Name, like by Destiny Child is like a very poetic song. So there's a certain nuance to the song, to the record that I hear that makes me want to play it. So yeah, if you're kind of looking for like poetry in a DJ set, I think
Come see you spin?
Come see me DJ. But that's why like I think like, you know, again, like people like even with DJing, like I think listening to like Benji B, BBC Radio has inspired me. Nico Adamako, Judah.
The Benji B like radio posts on like every week of like his top tracks.
Yeah.
Like, you can find some gems in there.
Yo, 100%. I listen to that I try to listen to every time, every week. If I'm like not caught up, then I go back and listen to it. I almost like, you know. And then I listen to NTS a lot, like Judah's show, Jay Messiah, my homie Kamar does a show, Laylo Black does a show on Rinse. So it's just kind of, again, like listening to all my friends like mixes and stuff.
While mixing, is there an artist that you consistently like run back to if you don't know what to spin?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Like if you're like, yo, the crowd's kind of dying, what do I spin right now? And you spin this artist.
Honestly, it would have to be, I feel like if the crowd is dying, I think the one track I'd want to like play is the Central C song with Pink Panthers. Yeah.
Obsessed with you.
Yeah. I think that tune will bring the crowd back, I think. Or Chop Life Crew, Pretty Boy Do. Yeah. I think those two tracks.
Can't Tell Me Nothing by Kanye.
That's a classic. I get people, anything that can get people chanting. Yeah, the chant.
A classic one, you know, everyone knows the words to.
Yeah, exactly.
You've heard it.
The collective chant. And then I'll bring in like some obscure shit.
Let's stick to DJing. Some of your favorite DJs coming out of Toronto right now.
Ooh. Jeez. Damn. That's a crazy question. I'll say Miles Freedom for sure. Like, you know, like I've been privileged to kind of like witness like Miles Freedom's growth from like the beginning of like his DJ career till now, and like I think it's been 2 years, and it's been very, very like beautiful to watch and very beautiful to observe. And like me and him obviously like do a lot of back-to-back sets together and like organize things together. So it's been very like amazing to see. And what I think also Minzy has been very amazing to like, you know, witness from like the periphery. Hangel as well is an amazing DJ. Like honestly, I remember like me and Hangel like hanging out at like Chippy Nonstop did this thing, Intercessions, and she had it like at the back of Lululemon.
Yeah.
And like people would just go there, spin. Shout out Chippy Nonstop for making that happen. That was very integral to the city. But yeah, that was amazing. And I remember seeing Hangel like DJ and her do her thing in Caruza, and her just snapping is actually, I find her sets like super like militant. You know, it's like it comes with like a certain force and you can feel it. So it's like very inspiring to see. Also my guy Ore, Sample Chief.
Okay.
I see him doing his thing. Tevis, I see him doing his thing. Freddie, I see him doing his thing. So those are at Chinello. Yeah, I think Chinello. Eric Chen.
Yeah.
Yeah, those.
Shout out Sixlet.
Yeah, shout out Sixlet. I don't know if I would that name alone. I don't know if it should go on the flyer, but yeah, I think he's doing amazing things. Yeah, I think those are people who are really, I think, are killing it right now in terms of like people who are emerging within the scene and providing something that is alternative and really interesting and cool. And I think these DJs I've mentioned and maybe people I'm forgetting have like a childlike relationship to their craft. You know, I think when you have a childlike relationship to your craft, I think that's when you get the truest expression, you know, versus like when you approach your craft from a more of like capitalistic point of view or more of like a commercial point of view, then it's just like it gets boring. Then that's when you play a Future song and a Drake song and a Gunna song and a Pusha T song, like three. But if you're able to mix like Future to King Cruel, that's you having a childlike relationship to your craft. That's what Tio did at a party one time. He mixed some like trap song into King Cruel, and I was like, yo, this is different, you know?
I find that like with rap, a lot of the time mixing rap sounds very similar. But when you mix like dance music or like the music you spin and the music you'll hear at a New Currency party, Miles can spin the same 2 tracks as Hangout, but it'll be completely different.
100%. And there's actually a project, I won't give it away, that I'll tell you after this. But there's a project I'm working on that kind of like goes off that idea. That I'm gonna do this summer. I'm really excited for that one.
And then also your time DJing in like London. What are your favorite DJs coming out of London?
Oh my gosh. Jeez, that's a really hard question. I think my guy AAA, The Only Way, my guy, he's amazing. He's like, again, to witness his growth, it's been crazy. Kamar, Lalo Black, Nosa, amazing. Kira. Damn, there's so many names. I miss my friends. Tommy Gold, obviously. Who else? Johannes.
Who would if I just got to London and I'm like, yo, what DJs am I? If I see someone on a flyer and you're like, go check out this person. Like, what people should I look up for?
Okay, yeah, that's easy. AAA, Kira, Nosa, Lalo Black, Kamar. Like, if you go to their part, you know you're gonna be good. Yeah, you know you're gonna have a good time if they're on that flyer. 100%.
And then, what would be your advice to someone looking to get into DJing?
I would say, in the beginning, I would say take every gig, and don't even worry about the pay. I've DJ'd in like a bar, like a small bar. There's nobody there. Literally, it's $25 an hour. But I think it was great practice. It's great practice. So I would say take every gig. because your name is going to be on every flyer, you know, and the sharing of that kind of just puts you out there.
Even like you're going to clubs early. I went to a lot of clubs early at like 8:30, 9 o'clock when like the bartenders were setting up, but I still got practice time on CDJs.
100%, exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's key. And I think also too is like, I think try and hear other DJs play. So there was a lot of times, you can ask JMKM or Josephine, she's a friend. I would go to her gig and I would just be in the corner beside her, just looking at her.
Yeah,
just watching.
100%. I feel
Freeze
like
the chin, like those cats, like, you know, I'll just be in the corner in the back of the DJ booth. Since I have a relationship with them, I'll just be in the back just watching, you know?
Literally that was me last night, like 50% filming and half of me was just like, okay, I just saw Tommy use that effect here. I've never done that before.
Right.
Now I'm going to see how that applies to this song.
Right. Exactly. And I think with DJing, I think you want to have a perspective. You know, like for me, like I played, like even last night, like when I think about music, I'm like thinking about how can certain genres connect, and now like, you know, like I think about like, that's why the Drake album is very interesting, the dance album, like, I know
which rang off last night, by the way.
Sticky, like I heard that yesterday. I was thinking about the set yesterday. I was like, I want to play some of this Drake record to hear it on the sound system. Yeah. And when I heard Sticky around 4 a.m. in an Uber in my headphones, and I was like, yeah, this is the one I need to hear out. And when I played it, it rang off. Yeah. It rang off. So I know people are dissing the album, or whatever, but I think it's a very interesting album. I'm not mad at it, to be honest.
I think it's also a super crucial album for the culture right now, because I feel like that will be an introductory album to a lot of people for house. Like a lot of rap fans would be like, okay, Drake just made a house album, so this is acceptable now. You know what I mean?
It becomes an entry point for sure.
Like straight entry to Black Coffee right there.
Right.
So a lot of people who are only feel like rap is the only thing they can listen to.
Right.
And now like the biggest person in rap just made a house album.
Yeah. I think that's a very good intro. Fuck, you know, you just gave me an idea now. Fuck. I feel like I need to like document that for the new issue.
You know what I mean?
That
was my take on it.
Using kind of like, I think there's something to be, it's like, how do you bring something that could be obscure to a different audience through the mainstream? Yeah. You know? I think there's something there. Okay. I guess I have an idea. I don't know. I gotta do that now.
All right, well, I'll remind you about that later.
Again, you see how I work, like responding to the current like zeitgeist and like what people are like talking about.
Let's sticking to London. Let's talk about, I guess, your time in London now. Same thing. Like if I just got to London, you already put me on spots, but like favorite spot to chill, eat, and then a night out.
Yeah, so I'm always at Reference Point. Shout out Jonah. Shout out Sophia. Shout out Marlo, Felix, Louise. Yeah, I'm always at Reference Point. Reference Point at 180 Strand. Like, it's like one of the dopest spots because they have the craziest books that you get to reference.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Interesting community. I've done multiple events there, you know. But yeah, that's my spot for sure. I'm always there. People are just like, Kazeem, you're always here.
I was there to just like literally like super focus and sit down and work, but I was like, wow, I can't not pick up this book right now. Yeah, like, they have the craziest books I've never seen before on the internet.
So definitely Reference Point. To eat, my spot that I bring everybody to whenever they're in town is Taro.
What's that?
It's a Japanese restaurant in Soho. I think it's on Brewer Street. It's not far from here. Okay. It's a vibe. Like, it's a vibe. It's like, it's filling, it's dope, the taste is a vibe. I love Taro. I also love my Nigerian restaurant in Dalston called Aso Rock. Okay. It's my spot.
And then like a classic club for London that's a banger every time.
A banger every time. I don't know if it's not, I don't think it's about the club, it's about the event. Because
follow the DJ?
Yeah.
So like stick to the question I said before. Stick to those DJs.
Yeah, I think follow the DJ for sure.
I feel like that's a big Toronto thing. I follow the DJ personally.
Yeah, follow DJ, like touching bass, Errol, and Alex Rita, they do these amazing nights. Like, I just follow the DJ wherever they go. It's not that, because, you know, like, I've been to Fabric a few times, but I've only gone because, like, a certain party's happening, a certain DJ is happening. So I just follow the DJ. Yeah, so.
What are your, like, immediate differences you find between Toronto and London?
I want to lean on the positive.
Doesn't have to go too deep, but just like, oh, I noticed this. It's definitely different.
Yeah, the
like,
fashion here is crazy, bro.
Just like I was saying before, like everything on here is so interesting to look at.
Yeah, I think the fashion here is crazy. I think people wear, it's effortlessly cool. Yeah. I think it's effortlessly cool. I think that's what some difference is. I don't necessarily like the food here. You know, I think that's where, you know, like, I really want to double so bad.
It's so diverse in the food.
Yeah, I think the food here is bland. It's just not the best. But yeah, you know. And then I also feel like here, like, in terms of creative, people are more willing to take risks. So I find, like, with the risks comes, like, very, like, the work is just much more provocative and much more daring in terms of, like, even the advertising and, like, you know, I find, for sure.
That was, I guess the final question to close it out would be, what would your audience, anyone in general looking at New Currency, or for you personally, expect for you coming up?
I think with New Currency, like, I think we're going to be much more experimental with, like, a few projects that we have coming up. Like, we're working on a visual magazine that's going to come out later this year. And then I have an idea for a furniture piece. And then I think we're going to really, like, collaborate. I think we're in a very collaborative spirit right now, which we've always been, obviously collaborating with magazine, blah blah. But I think we want to be very explicit with our collaborations. So we just did something with, like, my friends Eliza.
Crazy T-shirt.
Yeah, crazy T-shirt, which was amazing collaboration with the tea, with the party. We definitely want to do something in Toronto together. But yeah, you're gonna see a lot more, like, collaborations. I'm in a very collaborative spirit. We're just, like, I've been having conversations with, like, a lot of my friends, so we just want to collaborate and then use New Currency as a way to push these kind of, like, totems of our friendships out, you know, through this. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of that. And then for me personally, like, I'm very interested in product design. So I think going into 2023, there's gonna be some stuff around that. My photography as well. Yeah, and then some writing.
In New Currency or just personally?
Personally. Yeah.
Do you have any goals for 2022/2023?
Honestly, the goal is to continuously to be consistent. I think consistency is key. So I think we're we're trending up. But yeah, obviously I have financial goals and stuff. But without giving too much away, I think I'm very interested in the built environment. And obviously, like, you've seen manifestations of that by, like, what we do with Trading Floor in Toronto, which is opening up again in July. But I'm very, very curious about the built environment but what happens in the built environment. You know what I'm saying? I think, you know, I have an amazing network of friends and community and just, like, things and people that I'm tapped into that, like, what does that look like in a built environment? And I was very inspired. I think I've been thinking about that, but I was very inspired by this talk that, like, I attended with Theaster Gates. Like, Theaster Gates and Sir David Ajay was having a conversation, and they were talking about the built environment and all this stuff and programming. So yeah, I'm very, very interested in that. You might see a manifestation of that in 2023. So I'll tell you offline, but it's gonna be dope.
Perfect. Well, we're about to chill for the rest of the day, and then tomorrow we're both headed to Paris for Fashion Week. I might catch you there.
Yeah, it's gonna be different. But yo, Brian, honestly, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Of course.
For interviewing me. This is thank you. I feel very honored and really, really privileged and just excited to see your growth in like your own thing that you're doing, because I really think it's gonna be. I think what you're building is really exciting.
Thank you. I appreciate it.